everyone. Welcome to CAMICO Conversations, where we discuss practical guidance on topics such as claims and risk management for today's CPA. I'm Amber Bailey, Communications Manager at CAMICO, and with us today we have Carmen Aguiar, who serves as a member on CAMICO's Board of Directors and is currently the chair of CAMICO's Governance and Nominations Committee. She is a CPA and has been the founder and CEO of the Aguiar Group for over 3 decades. Welcome, Carmen. Thanks for speaking on our podcast today.
Thank you, Amber.
Yeah, and I know with your background and expertise, you are going to be sharing your thoughts on the evolution of the CPA role and the future of the CPA profession. So my first question is, how has the role of a CPA changed over your career?
So the way the role has changed, I would say to a certain extent, there's always been a consulting element and a planning element to it, but it was far more mechanical in the beginning. And now, as resources allow for the CPA to be the role be elevated, right? It's significantly more, I would say, challenging. And it's also the environment, the financial regulatory environment is more complex. So the role of the CPA has evolved and will continue to evolve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What changes in the profession have surprised you the most?
Well, I was thinking back and over, 30 years ago, we used to basically for big corporate Paine-Webber, tax return would be prepared on paper. And then the tax return would then be provided by pencil, provided to the secretary, and they would type it up. And then if you look at the evolution where you would then send the information to, let's say, Texas, from New York to prepare or input a tax return to now where everything is in essence on your desk. And the technology has changed enormously and allows
Mm-hmm.
for faster processing, if you would think. However, the complexity has increased in terms of the actual laws and work that's involved.
Yeah, absolutely. So what skills will define successful CPAs over the next decade?
I still think the key is communication, and I think that has always been. And it's also basically, it's kind of interesting because in the profession, we've always talked to making sense of complexity, right? And that's still core to what our profession is. I think the skill sets are really more analytical, critical thinking, right? Strategic thinking, far more initiative. And one of the things that I think about back when, where we would have the books, the CCH books, and you would have everything on paper and very thin paper, and a person would come in once a week and update the books with the latest rules. Now you have AI and you use that to assist in some of the research along with all the research tools. I mean, the expansion of research tools has really increased. But one of the things that we talk about now is hallucination, right? When you put things into an AI, getting inaccurate answers. Well, the reality is that back then, when we would go through the BNA materials or the CCH books and the thin paper, you still, if you looked in the wrong section or didn't follow through on the full process of research, you would also come up with the wrong answer. So I don't
Hmm.
think that the challenges and the opportunities have changed. What I think is how we do it has changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. So what do clients expect from CPAs now that say they didn't expect 20 to 30 years ago?
One thing is they expect more real-time responses than in the past. So I believe that's one thing. I also believe that as much as you have information out there that they can access on their own, making sense of it is still critical, right? I think there's a lot more planning involved and more options, if I could say that, like scenarios. It's not just one way. It's basically presenting clients with different opportunities or different options or ways of meeting their financial goals, as an example. But it's having really that close relationship. It's a closer relationship that I think possibly in the past.
Mm-hmm. Where do you see AI having the biggest impact on accounting practices?
Efficiency is huge. How we can access information is huge. How we research. Think about back when we had 18 column, 14 column spreadsheets, paper, right? And we would work through everything. And then came about Lotus 1, 2, 3, then Excel, and how all that has evolved. Well, now AI is making that piece even more, even simpler, if you think
Mhm.
about it. So some of that mechanical aspect of it is now um, basically computerized, right? You can do a whole lot more with what you have with the tools that are available. And so it's going to speed up and it's going to actually, if you think about it, there's just so much energy and so much hours. So I think our focus will be on the more strategic and the critical thinking and the planning and even more communication with the client because you're not wasting time on some of the more mechanical
Mm,
tasks.
mhm. Yeah. So how should firms balance technology adoption with professional judgment?
So I think it's really no different from the past. It's just that you had different resources, right? So I think it's understanding, experience comes with it, right? So if you're just starting in the career, the collaboration, with other professionals, the understanding of the clients, the questioning, right? So question what you're reading, right? Question what you're doing. Get a clear understanding of what the client's needs are and what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And then again, I think what you have is it's not just AI. AI is also, if you think about the technology, is a process. So create the process that enables you to get to the right answer. Right. So it's no different
Mhm.
from having a checklist, right? You're just now applying that to the process of the service that you're delivering.
Yeah. So in that aspect, what advice would you give younger CPAs who worry that automation will replace traditional accounting work?
What I share with the younger people at this time is basically kind of show them the evolution, and we've never lost our profession, right? Over time, what is core, which is that uh, delivery of service, helping folks with financials, right? That's where the value is. And now you just have a lot more tools. So you can actually, rather than input a tax return, someone else can do that and now you review it. So automation has actually provided the opportunity to elevate your training, so to speak, to a higher level. And so, I feel no fear. I see basically automation, AI, how we do things actually makes the career far more exciting than, than in the past. It's always been exciting. I think it's even far more exciting now. the CPA profession, and it's one of the reasons I went into it, and still it's fully relevant, is that it provides you such a good base that it's a skill set that you can apply to your personal life, to your personal investments. You can decide if you want to work in a not-for-profit organization, in a financial institution. It's just there, everybody needs financial expertise
Mm-hmm.
and everybody needs those skills. And so you can teach, you can become a professor. There's just so many opportunities. And once you choose it, you don't have to stay with one path because there is value in what you learn. Let's say at a not-for-profit that can be applied elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and the fact that the profession is respected provides people with lots of opportunities.
Yeah, yeah, which is great, different options and being able to keep growing. So, yeah, that's definitely something that I think is appealing, with the landscape.
Mhm.
So yeah, thanks, Carmen. Thanks for being on our podcast today and sharing your perspective, giving advice to CPAs and the evolving profession. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Amber. It's been a
Yeah.
pleasure.
Good. Yeah, and thanks everyone for tuning in. And be sure to join us next time for more tips and conversation for CPAs.